Welcome to the Positively No Gambling Podcast, the pro football show that is definitely not about betting. My name is Glenn Fraser. It is Sunday, August 31st, and this is the 2025 team preview for the Tennessee Titans. All right, we've made it. It's the last Sunday without pro football for some time. Let's dig into the Titans. So the way these previews work, we ask two big questions from the start of the offseason, recap 2024, preview 2025, including the schedule, look at some stats and trends, give out some early against the spread line picks, and then conclude on the two big questions before giving a prelim over under pick for win totals. The final win totals will be posted on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week as part of the AFC and NFC preview pods for Tennessee and all 32 teams. Having said that, the two big questions for Tennessee, did they overhaul the entire team? New GM, new quarterback, and will Cam Ward be great in year one? Will he be similar to CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels and some of the other high draft pick quarterbacks that inherited really bad rosters, really bad situations, and were able to win divisions and make playoffs as wild card teams and win playoff games, etc. Okay, the 24 Titans were awful. I mean, they were the number one pick in the draft. They were the worst team in football. Record-wise, 3-14, dead last in probably the worst division in football, missed the playoffs, got the first pick. Started off 1-6, finished 0-6. I mean, they were bad all year. 1-7 against playoff teams. Tough schedule, middle of the road luck schedule wise. So that contributed. They had to play the NFC North. They had to play the the AFC East. I mean, whatever. Not the toughest schedule, but definitely more difficult than many other teams. 2-6 in one score games. Bad season. Not a ton good to say about this team. They were terrible offense, only scored 18.3 points a game. Terrible defense, led up 27 points a game. Their only wins were in Miami when Tua was hurt, home against a terrible New England team. And I think this was an overtime win in Houston. I remember because I was on the wrong side of that one, so I remember that one well. Okay, offense. They lost Nick Westbrook-Akine, who went to Miami. He's a decent third option for receivers. Dylan Raduns went to New Orleans at guard. Beyond that, nobody really of note. Mason Rudolph is now in Pittsburgh. Tyler Boyd, free agent. They recently cut him after an injury. And then in terms of who they added plenty. Cam Ward, we'll talk about him a ton. Number one pick in the draft out of Miami. They added Kevin Zeitler from Detroit, guard. Dan Moore from Pittsburgh, tackle. They spent a lot of money on these guys. It's questionable whether they are going to be good, great, or bust, but probably worth protecting Cam Ward in year one. So I kind of like those picks. Sorry, those signings. They also added Tyler Lockett. Is he on the wrong side of his career? Probably, but he's at least a name. Same with Van Jefferson coming over from Pittsburgh. They drafted Chimere Dike out of the draft, tight end Gunnar Helm out of the draft, and they filled out their draft with some backups. Blue chips, absolutely nobody. The most high potential guy they have is Calvin Ridley. We'll see early on if he could get some chemistry with Cam Ward and turn this from a terrible offense into a passable offense. Um, X factor is going to be Cam Ward without a doubt. He's a rookie. He's not going to play a consistently great season. No rookie does. Even Jaden Daniels had a slow start last year. Um, And in terms of expectations, I don't think anybody is expecting him to be great, which is kind of a good spot to be in. Not in a make or break. Brian Callahan is in year two, and now he gets a number one pick, a quarterback that he seemingly loves. Will Levis was a absolute disaster. I don't really grade backups unless things are a disaster or if they're expected to start. Levis is already injured, but he is bottom 10, bottom 1%. I mean, he was absolutely awful. So huge upgrade at quarterback, upgrade in tackle and in guard, you would think, and at least some names in the wide receiver room. I still have a bunch of questions about their running backs. I'm not a huge Tony Pollard guy. They didn't really add much to their running back room, but we shall see with their offense. Defense, oof. They lost Harold Landry, good edge rusher to New England. I believe they cut him. Chidobe Awuzie went to Baltimore. Cornerback Jerome Baker to Cleveland linebacker. They added a bunch of people that are going to start. I don't know how good of starters they will be, but they did add them. Cody Barton, interior linebacker for from Denver. They added Xavier Woods, safety coming in from Carolina. Draymond Jones, linebacker from Seattle. They drafted Oladejo, an edge, to back up most likely Arden Key. Beyond that, spent some draft picks on filling out their backups. This was a really bad defense statistically last season. There were, at least early on in the season, there were these advanced metrics talking about, how good Tennessee's defense was. I never bought it because they would, every time I would watch them or bet against them, they were letting up a million points. This is a very strange defense. There's some real holes. They don't have a ton of blue chips. Jeffrey Simmons and Arden Key, I like. Um, I don't love any of they really spent draft capital on offense. So tough to really get too excited about this unit. If there is an X factor, I guess it's their free agent signings. Maybe they've hit gold here. Maybe they've found real starters that could really make a difference and help turn this defense around. We always talk year to year that defense is a little bit more elastic, and you could go from a top 10 defense to a bottom 10 defense and vice versa. So maybe this is a great defense sort of hiding in plain sight. Not a make or break, but they really need to improve this defense if they want to do anything in the South. Schedule visually maybe tougher than perceived, but still a pretty easy schedule. Top 10 either way you look at it. Middle of the road home schedule, maybe a very, very easy road schedule, but they are so bad on the road against the spread that this could be a disaster, even if it looks like an easy schedule on the road. Um, they, it's almost a joke at this point how bad they've been against the spread and how bad they were at covering and how many self-inflicted errors they had and just they were a mess last season, not just betting wise, but on the field. They've got a tough start to the season. They kick it off in Denver. That's not a great spot to have your first game against that defense in that stadium. Home against the Rams, probably lose that one. Home against Indy, maybe that's a toss up, maybe that's a win. Then three road games in a row, 4 out of 5 road games. None of them are particularly tough places to play, but Houston, Arizona, Vegas, back to back to back. Tough, 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 tough. Maybe coming out of their bye, they've got opportunities, but even though these are non-playoff teams, Seattle might be better. San Francisco probably will be a lot better. Obviously, the Chiefs are always tough. Um, Grasping straws here. Maybe it's an easy schedule. Maybe you take advantage. Maybe by the time they go into their bye, Cam Ward is looking like a real contender in terms of, or has them looking like real contenders and is playing lights out and has the X factor that some people expect him to have. We'll see. Some of the advanced stuff, really nothing jumps out with their Pythagorean. They quote underachieved, but this number is awful. 2-6 in close games. Really bad fumble differential. That is a luck-driven stat that will revert without a doubt. They lost three more games in 24 than 23. When we looked at this team last year, some people kind of thought, oh, maybe their defense, maybe they got something in Levis, maybe they can compete for this division, and the bottom fell out. So, with expectations, it might be worth looking back to what our expectations were 2 years ago, plus the quarterback change, plus some of the personnel changes and the leadership changes. Sure, maybe. Beyond that, O-line, not great, but not the worst situation we've seen. They did address that in free agency. D-line, decent pass rush, not great at run stop. I still don't know if they're going to be good at stopping the run. Um, in terms of, look, this is such a bad team at covering the spread. It borderlines on, obviously they weren't, there was nothing, there was no point shaving or anything like that, but boy, they were so bad against the spread. It is, I guess, optimistically, if you look at this, they can't be worse than they have been recently against the spread, but also they're so bad, especially on the road. I can't really find much of value. I found two. Week 3, they're a dog at home against the Colts, and week 13, they're a dog at home against the Jaguars. I don't love either one of these teams. I don't like the South at all. You'll notice. So should they be favor should they be dogs at home in these two games? I don't think so. I think there's some value there. But I need to see this team a lot before I believe they're competitive and they're worth taking against the spread given their history. So, two big questions. Did they overhaul this entire team? Probably not. Will Cam Ward be a very good quarterback in year one? I gave them a maybe. I'm a believer in Ward. I think that there's a lot there. I understand identity. Who is this team? What do they want to be? If they really want to be a run and gun, move down the field, deep threat, do they have the personnel around Cam Ward to do that? Do they have the protection to give him the time he'll need? A lot of question marks, but I'm going to go over here. 5.5 is the lowest over under, and they share that with a bunch of teams, including the Saints, including the Giants, Cleveland. And of all those teams, I like Tennessee the best to surprise some folks. I think they could get up to 7 wins, maybe even more. Plenty of metrics indicate that this could be a much better team in 25. Ward in the Callahan system, maybe. I'm gonna say it's worth gamble on the over, and just putting it out there, plus 600 to win this division. This division is so weak that I think that if there's anyone in football where you could take a chance on the long shot winning, it's the South, and that team is Tennessee. So haven't made these bets yet. Probably won't make this bet, but that's worth looking at. 6-1. It happens in the past. I don't love Houston to three-peat in this division. Why can't it be Tennessee? Honestly, why can't it be Tennessee? So an exciting one, worth monitoring. I don't love them early. But I do think that this could turn into a tougher out than people are giving them credit for. So at Seattle. Tomorrow we'll do the final team, Washington Commanders, and then after that we'll do the conference previews, final over-unders. Then we'll roll right into the start of the season where we'll start talking about week one, lines against the spread. This is the best. Can't wait. Thank you.